Hey Jim, how you doing? I'm just getting WebEx set up.
All right, let's see, we got a quote.
Gotcha, Drew. You guys hear me? Because I can't hear you. And
Yeah. No such thing.
yeah, now we're cooking. All right, guys, I'm doing my honey-do list.
Yeah, now you can hear us, right? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Or that was muted. Yeah, and then the little ones are complete that are, he's a toddler. But like the best way possible, he's a good boy. But like baby gates aren't really a thing anymore, like he can get up and over them because he's so tall, so, yeah.
I ended up putting Dutch doors in my house because my son would just blast right through.
Yeah, Mike.
I had a close call going down to the basement, just thought he'd see him go around the corners like, no!
Like baby gates are only for the weak babies, I guess.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, well, let's call this meeting to order. We had a chance to review the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none. Moving on to election of officers.
Hey, can I make a motion
Yes, sir.
that by acclamation we accept the officers that we already have? Is that proper?
Second.
We have a motion, first and a second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none. Motion passes.
Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you. I feel like I got drafted.
and everybody else, congratulations.
I know Arvis. Notice that Arvis is one of the only non-officers and made that motion.
Yeah.
He was very quick.
Yes.
He was strategic.
All right. Moving on to financials. We're doing the Novia statements.
So I will make a motion that we approve the financial report, including the Inova statement and the Community Foundation statement. Excluding the Google lot, which we've been approved separately.
Are they in here? I don't think it's in here. I'm here to prove a lot.
There was, there were, Sherry sent out 2 attachments. To
Oh,
the packet,
yes.
one I think had the Inova statement, the other had the Community Foundation statement. So you should have had.
I'll second the motion. You said,
I made a motion for A and B.
okay, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Moving on to Kruger lot invoice.
Is this for our taxes?
It is. I'll make a motion that we approve the invoice, approve payment of the invoice.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second on the motion. Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Anything under old business? Hearing none, we are moving forward to new business. Currently before us is a petition for a grant for Premier Property Company's emergency grant application.
So I'll give a little introduction to Lucas, talk a little bit more about his company and their project. So Lucas reached out to me about a month or so ago, told me they recently purchased 125 North Main Street and 130 North Second Street, and doing some major work on them, and then we're interested in the emergency grant fund, specifically for 130 North Second Street, and they're requesting $5,000 to complete some repairs on the rear. And all that and, some additional things in the building as well. I'll let Lucas, talk a little more about that.
Yes, so we just, me and the owners, work very close together. The property manager, I'm also part owner of the company as of today. So yeah, we purchased 130 North about March of last year. We have invested, other than just the price of the building that we bought, we've invested over 350,000 to bring the building back to code. We are redoing every single unit inside of the building, adding laundry room, common area for tenants, things like that, updated heating, plumbing, electrical. And then as of last month, we purchased 125 on North Main Street. As far as I've known, it has been vacant for about a year and a half. And we also plan on renovating the upstairs units, which one of them has a lot of water damage from a fire that was in the building next door to it. To start, once I've heard about this program, we wanted to explore and see if we could get any type of grant. There's a small porch on the left side of the building that gives the tenants access to the second floor of the building. That is in desperate need of being rebuilt. As of right now, I have it taped it off, so there's no liabilities on it. Tenants going up and down on it. But as far as what we had budgeted for the project, we hadn't budgeted for that specifically, because when we purchased the building, it was fine, but with snow and all the fun weather we have had, the aging of the porch has been drastic. So, yeah, we wanted to see how we could go about this. Our plan is to keep buying, buildings around the downtown Elkhart area that are in need of work, bringing them up back to code, and hopefully bringing more people to the downtown area with new living spaces and businesses and all of that. So, yeah, that's a little bit. I pretty much manage I do everything from tenants to, paying bills, collections, all that stuff. So, if you guys have any questions overall?
The upstairs units will be residential.
Everything, yeah. So we have 16 units on 130 North.
Right, but I mean for this grant.
But this grant's on this.
Right.
130.
Yeah, it will be a 130
Yeah,
North.
I mean, so the tenants were, right, so so you're saying for upstairs, I'm asking you the upstairs tenants will be all residential, correct? This is
Correct,
residential
yeah,
use.
one-
The whole thing is residential.
Yeah,
Okay.
130 North, the whole building
It's
is
that
residential.
16-unit apartment building.
Yeah,
Got it,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So the 125 is residential on the top and then commercial on the top. But we haven't got to our remodel on that building
Got it.
just yet.
Okay.
So I figured once we get to that and figured out what the whole plan is, if we need any type of support, then we'll probably file again to see if you guys are willing to help. Something, so.
So on the building on Second Street, you say you bought it in March. You've been working in there since March.
We started the renovation process about end of June.
Okay, June. Are there folks currently living there
Yes, I have 2 tenants
Two.
right now. Yeah, so.
in fully renovated units or
Fully
in
renovated units.
unrenovated units? Okay.
Yeah, we got the occupancy from the city about 3 weeks ago on those units. So kind of how it was when we purchased the building, there were 4 tenants in there from the previous owner. We called it a lipstick, where we chose like 4 different units. We did some small renovations to make it livable. I had 4 more tenants moving in, so I had 8 tenants total in there. And then we started the renovation of the basement, got those units completed, got the occupancy permit, and then 2 of them decided to stay. The rest of them said they couldn't really afford the new rent price that we were asking for. Some of them had been in the building for years, paying, $390 a month.
So what is the new rent you're asking?
So we do our rents weekly. It's just been working for us with our other properties. So we asked for $285 a week for this new building.
Okay. The scope of work, I had heard from some folks who kind of had been looking at that building kind of,
Can you talk a little bit about, so I heard that the wiring was all old, and two completely
Right,
unsafe. Can you
so,
talk a little bit about this? You say you invested over $300,000 in it right now?
correct. So, electrical is almost done, for the new
Complete
building.
new rewire.
Completely new rewire. There's some wires, for example, for like the overhead lights. They just everything was ran brand new. And then we added more conduits into each unit because each unit, I think they had about like 2 receps per unit, which is kind of, I mean, as a property manager and owner, you don't want your tenants to be running tens of thousands of cords going all around. So we add about 5 more per unit. We ran new conduits in the hallways to bring more power to each individual unit. That way they're in separate breakers. We added 3 new panels for floors individually, accessible to tenants in case needed. But yeah, everything been running new. We're using Lifeston Electric. They are from Middlebury. I think the whole quote for that was around $80,000 to redo all the electrical. We're also, so the only thing that will remain original on the building is just the heating system. Everything is run through radiators. So we invested about 15,000 on switching old pipes to new pipes, new fittings, everything in. And then we're also putting 2 new boiler units in there as well. We have one that's working as of right now, one that's partially working. So in the next 2-3 weeks, we have a company coming by to put new boilers in there as well.
So this request is for the porch on the side, is that what you're saying? And it's a danger right now, it's a hazard right now, is what you're saying?
Yep, I forgot to email it to Drew, but I did
Go
take
ahead.
some pictures just in case you guys wanted to take a look at it. I also have some pictures of the units itself, if that helps. I just gotta find them.
Yes.
Actually, we should actually have our.
About 6.
Okay, so they can see. What about trees, what?
She's here as Nora, but she's not. though.
Yeah, so we got. We got 5.
We have 6, we still have 6 and 5 others.
Right. So,
The meeting can happen.
yeah.
Right. So you invested about 300,000 in, it's not complete. How much more do you have left how much more investment do you have left into, let's take 5,000 out. How much more is left?
So, originally our budget was of 300,000 just for the units itself inside. That was originally quoted by us to have everything done. Obviously, with a building that it's about to turn 100 years old, once you start doing things, you just find more things. So our plumbing quotes went a little bit over because once we started getting into it, we saw that there were other things that needed to be assessed. You don't want to spend that much money and then not fix, an extra 16 pipes that need to be done. So we spent some extra money on that. We also spent extra money on windows, which was originally quoted for about $22,000. We ended up spending about almost 30 on new windows. because we needed to, so that building has 122 windows. So but we got all that quoted up. The way they quoted was all individual windows, but we wanted to, we have 3 separate windows. We just wanted one big 3-pane window in there instead. And once they fixed that, price kind of went up a little bit. Yeah, so for the interior of the building, we had this $300 budget, which we are gonna go over. Which Premier Property will be covering that, obviously, to get the whole renovation done. But that's it for now, and then once we have the building filled up, we hope to get the hallways done. Hallways need, just new painting, things like that. And we also wanna add, a laundry room in there for the tenants as well. So we're gonna have to invest a little bit on that. And then by the spring, we're also hoping to redo the outside of the building as far as landscaping. Kind of clean it up, make it look a little bit nicer than what it looks like right now, so. But yeah, as of right now, we got 4 units on the basement done, 6 units on the second floor to be completed by Friday this week, and then get started on the 3rd floor, and our goal is to be done before the end of February with everything.
Oh, you have the top units too?
Our top units. Yeah. Our deadline is first week of March to be done with all units. So we're trying to accomplish that a little bit earlier and then start on the building at 125 for that.
Is there any other questions for the petitioner?
Make a motion to approve the request for $5,000.
I second that motion. Any questions on the motions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. For the record, 3 guys abstain from voting for the record. Great, motion's been approved.
Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you, Gary.
So Lucas, our next step is, once that work is complete, you got the invoice, from your vendor, so we would pay the vendor directly, so we can certainly talk about those details.
Yeah, just give me a call and go from there. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Do you guys keep this?
Can
Or do I keep that?
Oh, yeah, he can keep that.
I can keep it. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good rest of your month.
Thanks, you.
All right, moving on. Future of the grant program.
I think we were a little, after some of the conversation we had recently, we were kind of caught off guard by Lucas's, application. I think one of the things wasn't necessarily a question for him, or an internal conversation with the board. I think historically, the grant program was more emergency, and I need the money. I've been turned down by other banks and things like that. And I appreciate what they're doing. This was a small grant with a cap of $5,000. So, how much impact can we really have doing $5,000 at a time? And then how do we really quantify emergency, been turned down by, there's a lot of limiting factors around the grant program. And so, for us to be solid stewards and consistent in our approach, to giving out the grant, I think one of the things the city is looking at doing, and I've been working with Talia on, is developing a couple different incentive programs that might be where the city's bringing some resources together to create a downtown building investment program. And we could talk, we're discussing maybe some small scale grants for just things like minimal facades and awnings, like that could be one phase. Another phase where we could have more, a bigger scope of facade investments up to $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of work matched by the building owner. Interior build out space as a way to help building owners make their space more readily available for new tenants to come in and not put a huge burden on small business tenants to, come in and participate in build out of those spaces. And then also continuing residential conversion of second and third floors. I think that was the program of the city 20 years ago. It resulted in a lot of that. I think we still have an inventory of spaces where we could see and continue to contribute to additional housing and residential development in downtown. And so if we create a more of a robust program, is there an opportunity to incorporate some of EUEA's dollars in with some additional city dollars and have more of an impact in that kind of a manner, as opposed to these emergency $5,000 pieces? Additionally, the city and the chamber are looking at implementation in the Benham neighborhood, where we're looking at bringing more robust homeowner rehabilitation options. What we do currently at the city is our staff, we actually contract out somebody to go in and do the scope of what the level of work is that needs to be done to bring the house up from a rehab program standpoint, and then to help kind of manage some of that construction. The chamber is looking at bringing in some private dollars to match the city's CDBG, so we can increase the number of homes that we do that. As a result, we'd likely need some additional resources to continue to pay for some of those contract assessment pieces of work. There could be potentially an opportunity or role for EUEA in a situation like that to help be a part in helping cover some of the costs. Just some things we've had some conversations about with the chamber and internally at the city. We're still working through some of that. Interested in hearing some feedback from you guys, if that's a different direction, or if we want to continue to have a separate EUEA program. Do we want to look at revising the program we have now so that it's not so restrictive, or do we like the fact that it's emergency? Just generally some ideas.
So some of these programs, so like I say, across the street when we did the roof, wasn't that way more than, that wasn't an emergency, was it? That was just trying to help her out to get her roof redone.
During COVID.
Was it COVID?
The limit was much higher.
So in essence, so the emergency has no ceiling to it, but the regular grant program does.
The emergency.
I thought they both had the $5,000 cap.
We've cut checks for way more than.
No, I understand, but they were during COVID.
Yeah, because
That's
like
what percent.
Susanna's, when we did that, which was a great thing for the community. Yeah. So we just need to, basically, I would entertain raising that cap, to, wherever we need it to where we feel comfortable. I think we should have that latitude, up to that amount with the request. I don't know how the board feels about it, but I mean, just make a motion to raise the cap, just change the language in the grant program just to raise the cap. Is that all? That's all we're really talking about right now.
I would like to expand on Mike's thought, and from like from a board member's perspective. I think that having the one-offs, and I'm glad that we can be a stopgap. I think like this is a perfect example of, there was an emergency that's actually going towards downtown goals, and so we're able to point to that impact. And so I think it's great that we have that in that aspect, and so maybe that's an aspect that we keep. But I also feel like it would be sometimes a little bit easier and a little bit more strategic if there were areas and more specific programs, so we actually appeal to a larger audience than just somebody with an emergency that align towards the same goals. So I think I hear what you're saying, Mike, and I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if we can see some of the breakdowns of the different programs and maybe have a menu of offerings, including a emergency, right? I think it's still an important gap that we fill. but being able to be a little bit more impactful currently with some of the other initiatives. Because I feel like if we go back towards the emergency side, we're gonna be having meetings to have meetings unless there's somebody coming to the table. But if we expand our menu of services, we're gonna be able to have more impact on the downtown area. Right now, we know there's such a growing need with the economy continuing to struggle and over towards the like 5-star area, that block, what is that, the
500 block.
the 500 block is really struggling. And so I think being able to have services that are able to be found will actually provide some incentives for people to go look at those spaces if they know that there are programs to help them. And so I get it. I think that you could technically say that all of that could be an emergency. That's how we view it, but not necessarily those who are looking for those resources.
The only thing what I'm trying to say, and I don't disagree with anything you said, Kristen, is we've always had the ability, you know, I think you and I, we've done other things outside of emergency before the emergency grant was even put together. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Do we have to reinvent the wheel here? And if we do, so be it. But we've done it for like the museum. We gave money for I can't remember what it was. It was, you know, paid for Christmas trees. You know, we've done other things. You know, I'm all on board. I'm just, do we have to reinvent the wheel is the question I have.
My issue has always been, if you're giving money to a private person or a private company, how are we discerning between who we give it to and who we don't give it to? Who needs it, who doesn't need it? Could these guys get it some other way, or everyone just comes to us for 5,000 because we'll give 5,000? Are we concerned that they've been turned down at a bank and are out of the line of credit and this is it and it really is an emergency and there's nowhere else to go? I think some of the things that you're talking about, Jim, were like nonprofits.
Yeah.
We would give money for downtown lights. That's a nonprofit. But what my problem's always been the whole contractor issue. Who gets the money? Who doesn't?
And is that something I'm missing here, Bill? Are we talking like it automatically happens, Kristen? Or do we still, these things still have to be brought before the board, as Bill has expressed concerns? Before, it's always been brought before the board, whatever the request was.
No, and Mike jump in here, but I think that what is being suggested is actually developing a full program that would give us that scoring mechanism to decide who could and who wouldn't get that money, as well as the development of the program, figuring out, do you lien the property, you have to stay for 5 years, like that's probably what Talia would be working on in creating a full.
And that's what she's working on. That's what we're working on with the broader programs.
Okay.
Their applications, there is a lien and a mechanism to be able to control some of the dollars over a certain period of time, making sure that, those investments, that's exactly right. So
If you put that into it, then you take away any concern I have. Is it the loan?
Yeah.
If it's a forgivable loan for 5 years, I don't have any real problem with that either. I just don't want to be the guy saying you get the money and you don't.
Yeah.
And I'm the bank and I decide you get it and you don't. I don't know.
And I think that's the
It's
other,
uncomfortable.
that's the other benefit to the leveraging the other program with other city dollars is it doesn't have to come in front of this board and you aren't the one making those decisions. They're
Right.
just part of a larger program that are
Right.
being decided and how they're done. So.
I think that's great.
Yeah, I'm on board. I just want a clarification of what we're doing here compared to days old and now.
And we'd like to keep Kristen engaged as we move through, so we at least have a couple UEA team going through the process as well.
Well, I hope so. She's secretary.
Well, I don't know if that's part of it, but I appreciate that. Didn't know that was part of it when signing up, but.
Hey, you were here. We probably, she's the one.
So then we'll continue moving that,
Okay.
along. In the meantime, we can keep the $5,000 emergency grant. I think, we're trying to, I know Drew's had a couple of people reach out to him on a couple other things as well. And so, but we can also say, hey, if it's bigger, if it's an emergency $5,000 need, let's talk about it. But if not, pause for a minute, let's roll out some of these other programs and get them a little further along and more developed. So.
Okay.
And I like that I didn't mean to cut you off, Drew.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Okay, I think that what I really liked about this one was that it was so clear what the need was, why he needed it, and when it was gonna open. Like, I loved hearing him say, like, we're hoping to have the second floor open in February. And I went, yep, this is a true emergency. He had to have it now because of his construction date. So like, if people are saying, hey, like I wanna have it because I need to have it open by June, but maybe they can wait. But I'd be open to hearing emergencies like this one. especially.
And then if we have another program, I think, the old Paul Thomas building would be great potential candidate for that kind of program.
Lucas expressed, to your point, Mike, Lucas, and Kristen as well, expressed interest in, he asked if, he could apply again for that building. And so I think, right, waiting and seeing until we have something more established and seeing what their plans are and where the clear gap is on, I know 2 bites of the apple.
Well, and I think that that's a great point, Drew, of when the programs are being created, figuring out, do you cap it like a tax statement by address? Do you do it by company at the bite of the apple? What that looks like. Because I could see the argument for that, but at the end of the day, those are 2 buildings that really needed it. And so I personally wouldn't necessarily have an issue with 2 bites of the apple for 2 dilapidated properties. And so I just want to be careful as we think that through. Maybe there's a cap for per developer, not per property. I don't know, right? Like,
Yeah, those are things we're trying to work
Yeah.
through, right,
Yeah.
for sure.
because I know there's
Is
other,
there an overall cap on if I'm doing some awnings and I'm doing some interior build out and I'm doing
right.
5 residential units and it's like, is there a total 1 building cap or, those are some of the questions we're trying to answer right now, so.
Right, because I don't want to punish a developer if they have the capacity to do more. I wouldn't want to punish them of, okay, you can only have this 1 bite of the apple because you've got a $5,000, well, now you're
Right.
asking for a $30,000, you're making more of an impact because that $5,000 investment went super well for you.
Well, it seems, so if there like are clear criteria, I wouldn't think we would necessarily need to have more than 1 bite of the apple. If you meet the criteria, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to get a loan for whatever project it is. If you meet it, you do. If you don't, you don't. And
And then you have to figure out,
Go ahead, sorry, Iris, go ahead.
no, you have to figure out to me what constitutes an emergency. Now, this guy we just gave $5,000 to, he had an emergency. So does he wait on another emergency? Not that he would,
Yep.
What constitutes it? That's the only problem I have with the 2 bites of the apple. Now that I know what an emergency is, okay, I can come back and say, hey, you have to.
Yeah, but I think if the programs we're talking about earlier might not just be purely emergency, they might just be,
Right.
hey, we've got this program for folks who want to invest in their buildings. I think for me, the issue is going to be if the work's already done, is it retroactive or is it, now the funds are available, I've got work I want to do going forward, and then if you go retroactive, how far back do you go and some things like that. So that like for Lucas on this apartment building, if he's got future work that needs to be done, maybe that's something that could be covered as part of that. But, I don't know about going backwards.
Going backwards, I think it's really difficult because of the but for as well. So if you're doing it, do you really need it? And I think as we're going into new programs, having it be the but for of the idea, now obviously that's not gonna necessarily be the case if you just need a sign, right? If you're using a grant program, that's more of a aesthetics thing for Main Street, and I get that. But I think for some of those $30,000 and $40,000 ones above that, that it would really be needed to be able to come to us before the work is done, not afterwards. Like it's true.
That's a great plan for you paid staff to figure out and bring back to us.
Yeah,
volunteers.
that's right.
And bring back to us volunteers, so.
That's what we will do. That's what we will do.
well said, I was.
Yeah.
All right. If there's no more questions, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We did it.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing what that looks like.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
So we're still on a quarterly basis?
Quarterly.
as needed,
Yes.
or what?
Quarterly.
Or quarterly unless something comes up.
Right.